Hi there, I'm Christine with What's Up Cupcake Whimsical Crafts, and welcome to my channel. This is Shadow Cat. He doesn't normally join, but he was excited about today's topic. Today we are going to be going through over 20 patterns inspired by Studio Ghibli. I am so excited to share these patterns with you. I've been making them for quite a bit in preparation for this video, as well as just as part of my market makes and fun patterns that I've been enjoying dabbling into as I have started going through the Studio Ghibli catalog with my kids. And better yet, part of the reason I am so excited for this collection of favorite patterns that I have and that I have been working with is because I leave for my first trip to Japan on Friday. So yeah, it felt fitting, and I'm excited to go see Tokyo and other parts of Japan and maybe do some shopping for some Studio Ghibli goodies while I'm there. But let's go ahead and dive into some of the patterns that I have been whipping up. These are not just going to be Totoros, though there will be quite a few of them, as there are a lot of those patterns. And this will honestly probably be a video of multiple parts to be built up. My cat is attacking something and he's very into it. Oh, it's a power cable. Please hold. All right, we've saved him from electrocution, but yeah, so speaking of which, let's just dive into the first pattern, and with that theme, let's go into a black cat. This is Gigi. The pattern is from Y Crochets, W-A-I, so hopefully I pronounced that right. And this was a super fun and somewhat quick pattern to make up. I actually had to kind of sit on this pattern for a little bit because of the all black yarn. It made it hard to see, so I definitely had to do it when it was like full daylight or natural light available to me. But I really like the way that the ears connect. This is a fairly low sew pattern. Everything is pretty much crocheted on to the body, except for you attach the head to the body and then the bow. So this is Gigi from Kiki's Delivery Service. I am so excited to have made this pattern, and I actually have another pair of ears so I can get started on another one. A lot of these patterns will have felt just because of the nature of the eyes, but I was able to just trace a circular object that was around the size that I was looking for and cut that out. If you have a cutting tool like a Silhouette or a Cricut, you can probably also cut them out yourself. And in some cases I do sew on or hand embroider safety eyes when that's an option. But all of the patterns that I'm going to be talking about today, I will have linked in the Canva document that is linked in my description. So go ahead and check that out, and I will try to have them named either by the pattern name or the character name, because most often the patterns might be called something else for copyright purposes if it's on, say, Etsy. And so it might be like sarcastic black cat crochet pattern or something like that. But in this case, I think I got this pattern on coffee. But regardless, it will be linked in the description below. Next up, let's get into a free pattern collection that I found on Instagram. This collection is by Becky's Plushies, and I only have one here to represent today, but this is the Marshmallow Buddy collection. There is one for Otori-sama from the Spirited Away movie. There's also a No Face and a Totoro, and you can find them all on Becky's Plushies Instagram. And again, they're free. She makes them up in a smaller, Shadow has a lot to say. She makes them up in a smaller yarn, so they come out pretty tiny. The first time I made this, I was shocked at how big it was because I just I hadn't realized that I was doing much of a variation from what she was doing. Sometimes I don't read the description of what is recommended to me in terms of yarn hooks and sizes. I go by the picture and I'm like, oh, that looks like the same thing, but it's not always. Anyways, really fun and fast pattern to throw together. And I have sold these at my markets, actually, the No Face and Totoro ones. I've had them at my markets a couple times and they've sold out. This is actually the first time I've done a Tori-sama, and the reason for that is it was the most recent release and it wasn't available at the time of my last market. But they have been a hit at the markets, and then I also just think it's a fun little way to have a variation of a Studio Ghibli character. So very fun, free pattern that you can make up. You will hear the name of this next pattern designer a few times in this video because they make a lot of Studio Ghibli influenced and inspired patterns. So I am excited to share this one. This is No Face, also from Spirited Away, and the designer is Woolly Tunes. So this pattern, generally, I feel like Woolly Tunes patterns come out pretty large. I definitely could have used a smaller yarn in this, but this is Elise Voluto, and it is a very straightforward pattern, as I imagine you can tell, but it comes with some fun options for items that it can be carrying. I think there's a soot sprite, there is a bowl of coins, and a heart, and I chose the bath token. If you've seen Spirited Away, you'll know, but again, a fun and easy pattern that you can make up, and I just really love No Face. I think it's very cute, and I love how this turned out, so I'm excited to introduce this at my next market. We will be going through varying levels and sizes and variations of Totoros in this video, but let's start with one of the smaller ones that I have. This is just a cute, simple little Totoro that I generally have at my booth during my markets, and it only has the ears sewn on, I believe, and just some of the little facial details. Name of the designer will be on the screen. I unfortunately do not know how to pronounce it, and this might be a free pattern. If it's not free, it's fairly inexpensive, but this is a great, fast, small market make, or just for yourself, have on your desk. But yeah, this is a great little Totoro that I try to have at least 2 or 3 of when I'm doing markets. And let's move on to Howl's Moving Castle. This is Kelsifer. This is another Woolly Tunes pattern. I actually was a pattern tester for this pattern. I've also made it in Feels Like Bliss by Lion Brand, and it came out beautifully there too. That the colors are a little bit more muted in that instance, but just a fun pattern, especially if you are a fan of Howl's Moving Castle. It does come together again really quickly. I feel like all of these patterns are pretty advanced beginner friendly. So you do need to know how to sew things together and all of that, but a fun take on Kelsifer. One of my favorite Studio Ghibli characters is the Soot Sprite, and this pattern is a perfect little representation of the Soot Sprite with its little star snacks. And this pattern is by Papu D Toys. Again, will be on the screen. And yeah, it's really just a fun little take on this guy, perfect for sitting on a surface. Its little legs hang over, arms dangle down. You get some freedom with what you want to do with the stars, where you want to place them, but I thought one in each hand and on the head was perfect. On to another collection of patterns from Studio Ghibli, and these are the little plant pots from Pandy's Crochet. So there is a Totoro, there is No Face, and I also believe there is a Gigi. I just have not made that one yet. but I just introduced these recently at a market, and they're really cute. Kind of have a unique take on a Studio Ghibli item. Going back to Spirited Away, I have a beautiful river dragon haku. This pattern is so fun to make, and it was not as complicated as I expected. It's from Songbird Crochet, and it was from Ribbler. So you can check off the steps as you're working on it. But it was a fairly quick make because the body is not huge, it's just long. You do sew on each of the legs and their kind of limbs attached to them. You do this directly onto the body. I won't give away too much about the pattern, but I really recommend it. It is a beautiful item, and I am excited to share this at one of my upcoming markets. I love doing boba items for markets, and this is my favorite one to do. It's a little Totoro boba with soot sprites as the little boba pieces. You can probably use like a little paint, or if you want to deal with really small felt, you can do little eyes on the boba pieces for the soot sprites, but I think it's perfect just as it is. Again, a little bit of felt details, but a fun and easy make. I weight mine so that they stand a little bit more solid, and I just use the weighted pellets inside like a nylon sock. And yeah, just a great little Totoro item that's unique and you just don't see very often. All right, I hope you are ready for some sewing and some felt. That being said, I am obsessed with this item. It's the cat bus. This is another pattern from Songbird Crochets. There are 10 legs that get sewn on in this, and the felt windows. The eyes can actually be done felt, but I wanted to attempt them embroidery. They are not as lopsided as they appear when you see it in real life, but yeah, I feel like the cat bus is kind of its own unique character and crazy-eyed little creature, but I have been wanting to make this for a while. I just was not ready to brave all of the limbs, but this was worth it in my opinion, and I love this little cat bus. And while we're on that Totoro topic, this is a little swing Totoro car swing with a little leaf on its head. This is another pattern by Becky's Plushies. I did this in a fur yarn. It's a very fine yarn. It does make it a little hard to see the features of the face. And once again, you can do felt for the eyes. I just chose to sew them around it, but it's definitely a fast and easy make, especially if you're not using a fuzzy yarn. This would come together really quickly. And just another fun item for your collection. I will probably keep this one in my studio and have it in the background for some of my videos because I really like him keeping me company in here. This one is a little tree spirit or tree soul from Princess Mononoke. I actually have not seen this film yet, but I'm going to be watching it this weekend with my kids. But I think that these guys are creepy cute, maybe kind of like a Labubu. Like it just has that look to it. But you can actually use felt for the mouth, but I happen to have like the oval safety eyes that I use for my little Kirby's. This pattern is from Sweet Beans Crochet, Robin, and it is actually a free pattern. So if you go to Instagram, you can find this on her Instagram, and it comes together really quickly. It's very cute. I highly recommend it. This character was an unexpected favorite for me when I was watching Spirited Away, and it was Bo the mouse, or the baby, depending on how you look at it. Maybe it's both. I really love how this guy came out. He is super snuggly. I did the fur on his belly. There is quite a bit of sewing, but I think it's worth it. It's just a fun, unique little character, and if you've seen the movie, hopefully you find this as charming as I do. This is by Woolly Tunes, of course. Time for another free pattern. This one is another fun one. It is a soot sprite cupcake. Being What's Up Cupcake, I had to, of course, do this. But again, I love soot sprites and was just excited to play around with this one. You can do felt stars if you'd like, but there is a guide on it as to how to do the crocheted stars, which you can do in various color assortments. Name of the designer on the screen. But yeah, it's a free pattern, so definitely check this out. It is on Coffee, I believe. So it'll be linked below. If you're enjoying these patterns so far, please think about liking and subscribing to this video. I do lots of videos on market makes that I do in crochet, as well as crochet accessories like stitch markers, amigurumi sticks, and safety eyes that I hand paint. So I like to share tutorials and favorite kind of collections and just general crochet chat about market prep and items that I am trying out. In addition to that, I will be posting all of these over the next kind of week, 2 weeks on my Instagram. So my Instagram is at What's Up Cupcake Crafts, and you can find me over there where, again, I post regular videos and photos of my market makes, as well as tester calls that I am responding to, trying out new patterns, and other fun things that I like to share. So I hope to find you over there, and let's keep going with more patterns and projects. I don't know if I've said like which are my favorite patterns so far. Honestly, it's so many of these, but this might be in the top 3 of my favorites. It is a little duck wearing a Totoro hat, and this is a pattern by Crochet by Elle. I love this so much, and honestly, if you do a lot of these patterns like No Face and Otori-sama, you could probably modify the hat for that too, but this pattern I think is pretty perfect as is for a little Totoro hat duck. I definitely will be making more of these because I just think it came out so cute. And once again, you can do felt if you'd like. I did the oval safety eye nose and it worked out perfectly for this. Just a fun, fast make with a little bit of sewing, but totally worth it. I'm going to drop a photo on the screen for this next make. This one is Otori-sama, once again from Spirited Away. This pattern is from Crochet by Wiz. I actually brought this to my last market, and it was, I think, the first item that sold. So I do not have a copy of it on hand, but here's a photo of it. I'll definitely be making more of them. It was a fun and easy make, and I don't even know if the little girl who bought it knew what it was or just thought it was a really cute little duck. So, you know, very versatile, but I also just love Otori-sama. And speaking of love, I think that Ponyo might be one of my favorite Studio Ghibli movies. There's a lot of them. They're all up there on the list, but I had to make a little Ponyo in a bucket. So this pattern is from Not Michelle and is actually a free pattern. So bonus points there. You don't have to make the bucket, but if you've seen the movie, I feel like it just is kind of a given that Ponyo should have her little bucket. Isn't she just so cute? This Totoro is a little bit different than the usual basic Totoros, but this one is a flower version. This is by Pandy's Crochet, and there are several flower options. There's a daisy, the sunflower, and one other flower option that you can do. And of course you can opt out of the flower, but I think it just makes it really charming. I did this pattern exactly as described. However, I did not do a wire stem. I did an I-cord stem. So I just looked up a YouTube tutorial because I can never remember how to do them and start them off. And it set me right up, and it doesn't have as much structure as wire would, but I think it makes it just a little bit more kid-friendly. And yeah, highly recommend checking out Pandy Crochet's Totoro Patterns, because she has a huge assortment of them that you can pick from, and a lot of them just have little whimsical accessories with them. Also, it does stand. I don't know if I can really show it or give it justice here, but the way that you attach the tail, it kind of acts as a little prop. So that's even more fun, because most of these are not freestanding patterns. Some of them are, but this for Totoro, this one with its little legs and the tail, it just is even better that it stands up on its own. I could share so many other Totoro patterns at this point, but honestly, there's just a huge amount of them. That being said, I do have a couple of go-to bundles that I have regularly made and continue to make. So this one is a pattern pack by Y Crochet again, and there is the variety of all three Totoros. So this being the middle one, the true Totoro, there is a chibi one. I actually bring a lot of the chibi ones to my markets, and that's part of why I do not have one to show right now, because they all sold out at my last one. And they just come out real tiny with their little leaf. They're very cute. And this one is no exception. It comes together really quickly. There's no sewing other than the ears, I believe, maybe the tail. I can't remember. It's been a minute since I made this one. But I like that the belly is integrated into it. Another pattern set that I like to make has all three, and it is by Cupcake, Khuccay. I'll put it on the screen. And that is another set of all three Totoro patterns that I really recommend. They're just very market friendly makes, and come out in nice sizes, and it's all three of them. So you can kind of pick which ones you do. But I found having all three of them really has been successful for me. I think that there's people that collect certain ones or like to have the whole set. So give them a try. And that brings me to the last item for this video. As I said, there are so many Studio Ghibli inspired patterns out there. As of the filming of this video, actually, Woolly Tunes came out with another pattern for a little fox character that I wanted desperately to make in time for this. I immediately purchased it as soon as I saw the launch. I just didn't have time, and in order to be able to get this out before my trip, it had to be skipped. Also, you don't have to make amigurumi and plushies for all of your Studio Ghibli creations. I have a bag that I started making. I have all of the granny squares to make them, and it's going to have some soot sprites on it. I'll put the name of the maker for it, but there's just so many beautiful patterns inspired by these films. So if I can, that might be something I'm working on the plane, because I really wanted to have this little soot sprite bag for when I was in Japan for carrying all of my shopping, but we'll see what I can get done. There's more granny squares than this. I just grabbed a handful of them. But this last item now is not necessarily a Studio Ghibli pattern in itself, but if you've watched my other videos, for example, my Lilo and Stitch one, I love playing with this Nooks and Hooks base teddy bear pattern and kind of modifying it to all sorts of characters. And in this case, I had to, of course, make a Totoro mod. So this is the Hoodie Bear. The hood does come off or come down, and I just added some little Totoro ears. Oftentimes when, again, you're looking up some of these things, it might be called rabbit ears, but I just added those to it, did the belly a little bit different, and I think that it is super adorable and just a unique variation of this pattern. Yeah, so go check out Nooks Hooks. You can do this in other creatures too. She is releasing a cow base soon. I think there's a rabbit. Like there's all sorts of options for this pattern and then associated mods to go with it. But I had to do my own mod for it and make this little Totoro version in honor of this video and this trip. If you made it this far, thank you so much for staying with me as I shared all of these. What is your favorite of the patterns that you saw or of the Studio Ghibli movies if you have watched them? I would love to know. As I said, we are making our way through them. I'm excited to watch Princess Mononoke this weekend. And I would say that my favorites are obviously Totoro, Ponyo, and probably Kiki's Delivery Service. I really loved Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle, but I think those three are my top three at the moment. And again, I have a lot more to watch, a lot more to learn about before this trip in just a few short days. So I will definitely have a recap and the highlights from the trip, and I'm sure I will have hauls of things that I picked up while I was there. We are going to the Studio Ghibli Museum, and I'm so excited for that, as well as just for my stationery sticker journal loving heart. Oh my goodness, I already have like mapped out different stationery stores and things that I want to go to. Yes, there are birds going crazy outside of my window. It's a very active spot. I'll throw in some footage of my cat losing his mind over the birds. I have 3 cats, but 2 of them really like to frequent this spot and do some bird watching themselves. So thank you for being here today. And if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I hope to see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.